Hi guys, it's Alicia here with my Workbasket, back for you with another Friday flip. If you're new here, the Friday flip is when I flip page by page through a vintage magazine from my collection and just chat with you about what I see in it and, you know, how it relates to my personal life or what I find funny or whatever. And I very much encourage you to chat with me in the comments about what jumps out at you about this magazine. So anything that you see, if it's an ad that reminds you of something, if it's a craft you've made, if you have a funny personal story, this is the time to just get chatty and enjoy this magazine, almost like we're just friends sitting across from each other, showing each other funny stuff that we find. So today I am going to do an issue of the Workbasket. This is from August, I can't actually see the date here, it's definitely 80s, August 1987. I picked this up at a recent thrift store trip while I was on vacation, and as I was kind of packing and unpacking and sorting and cleaning up the craft room, I realized I hadn't flipped through it yet, and I was like, you know what, let's do it for the Friday flip. So I had previously recorded a whole series of Friday flip videos that featured the Workbasket, and I talked a bunch in those videos about how the Workbasket related to me personally on a very strong level. It's literally where the name My Workbasket came from based on how I started doing my website many years ago. I recently found out I've been doing my website for about 5 or 6 years now. It has grown and changed a lot, including the fact that now it is predominantly a vlog on YouTube. The website is coming back though. I've been working on it. I'm going to be posting there more frequently, but there's been a lot of growth and changes, but originally how I started was from this magazine. Not this exact issue, but this magazine, the Workbasket and Home Arts magazine, which is the #1 magazine that I collect. I own hundreds of issues, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds. They fill a bookshelf just by themselves. This magazine was printed for so long. It actually was published from the 40s all the way through the 90s, with regular issues pretty much every single month. So you can imagine how many issues that is. And even though I own hundreds, there are still issues that I don't own, predominantly in the 80s and 90s and the very early issues. In fact, I don't own any of the earliest issues, which actually had a completely different format than this. They were like a giant paper that you kind of unfolded. So this has been a big deal to me. I've been collecting the Workbasket for well over a decade. I don't actually remember how I even started or when I even started, but this was kind of the magazine that started it all for me. My collecting vintage magazines, my fascination with vintage crafts. I mean, just even my business name, it all came from this magazine. But this is the first time I'm going to do a Workbasket for the Friday flip. The series that I previously recorded, it was several of them that kind of went together and built on each other. They all came out extremely shaky, and I don't know why. I have all sorts of stabilization stuff on my camera. They don't usually do that. I don't know if it got recorded with a bad setting that didn't have stabilization or what, but they were just awful, and I could not post them. Like, you would have absolutely, even if you don't tend to suffer from motion sickness, they would have made you sick. Like, they were terrible. So as you can see, these are actually my tripod legs. I'm still trying to find a better filming setup for Friday flips that will not make you or me while editing nauseous. So I don't have the perfect camera setup yet for tripod style for how to do these, but I like doing them with you. So I didn't want to just wait until I get a better tripod figured out. I wanted to go for it. So let's delve in with the Workbasket. Crochet a cool top for late summer cookouts. I'm sure that's going to be this. Needle punch, the art of creative embroidery, which of course is coming back with a vengeance. Needle punch is hugely popular right now. For a nutritious change of pace, serve pasta or rice. That's very different than what you'd see in a lot of magazines today. But let's get started. If you're curious, I paid 10 cents for this at a recent thrift store excursion. I rarely pay more than 50 cents for a piece for any of my magazines, just if you are super curious. The most expensive magazines I have in my collection, I think I paid $3 to $5 a piece, and they were actually, well, usually are ones from the 1920s. This is a Ambassador jewelry, looks like. Ambassador money making. There's so many money making things in these. Actually, I think it's not even money making. It's just like catalogs you can buy. Yeah, it's pretty much just catalogs that you can send away for. I was thinking it was like buy these and sell them because there's a lot of that. The Trying Sheet Music magazine. So one thing that I've always loved about the Workbasket is that they feature multiple crafts and departments in every issue. This particular one has to crochet, to knit, to tat, and then it always has Making Sense. Even like the way back issues feature Making Sense, which is products you can make and sell at things like bazaars. And then there's recipes and food content. This one has a craft corner with spool weaving. And then there's a flower and garden section. And then there's additional miscellaneous. So there's always like a little bit of everything. Whatever you're interested in, whether it be cooking, plants, it just kind of really sums up all the things that people tend to like in like one perfect little magazine. The Perfect Shoes for Troubled Feet. Those are actually super cute. I mean, they're probably not as cute in person, but the picture makes them look like they're going to be cute. Editorial comments. Here is a recipe for broccoli salad. Huh. So my sister-in-law makes a broccoli salad, and this actually sounds pretty much exactly like her recipe. So, Felicia, if you ever happen to see this, I found your broccoli salad recipe in a magazine. Fast, fun, easy, rewarding. I read those totally out of order, but this is for the For Love or Money looms, the plastic looms. I have a set of these. I think they're really fun, but to me personally, they are slow. They're slow. To me personally. The wrapping is fast, the tying is slow. So, but I have, I think one of the squares, a full hexagon set that all hooks together. I might have 2 hexagon sets that hook together actually, and then a standard one size hexagon that does not adjust. But they're fun. I have some other looms that work similarly also. The brightly striped pullover, that's the one that's shown in color on the cover. I think that's cute. I mean, like, I personally probably wouldn't wear it, but that's just because I pretty much live in graphic t-shirts. It's made using Reynolds Parfait Plus, which is a blend of 75% acrylic and 25% nylon. One thing, this particular issue with this pattern, it gives you much more yarn information. One thing that I've encountered with trying to make some of these patterns from these older magazines is sometimes they'll use kind of like a hot on the market novelty yarn, and you have no idea what to replace it with, and you kind of just have to guess or do a bunch of research to find out what that yarn was. So I like that this one tells you what it was a blend of. It tells you how many grams and yards were in a skein, and that really helps you replicate a little bit, especially with the size crochet hook. It tells you that would be a little bit easier to replicate if you couldn't find that yarn. It's especially fun when you manage to find vintage yarn and make the vintage pattern with it, but that doesn't happen all that often. Never offered before, the famous Guy Lombardi waltzes. You can get it on records, cassettes, or 8-track tapes. You know, the funny thing is, I don't think I've ever listened to an 8-track tape. Like, I know of their existence. I have seen them. If I saw one, I could tell you exactly what it was. But I don't think I've ever actually listened to music on an 8-track. I think by the time I kind of really remembered anything from my life, nobody had a player. Because, like, I mean, I was alive in 1987 when this came out. But I remember my grandmother having, like, a rack of 8-tracks, but she never like listened to them, and I don't know if she even had an 8-track player. Maybe it was kind of one of those things that people invested in and didn't want to get rid of. But then, like, you know, I mean, it still happens today. You like invest a lot in something, and then you're like, well, this is kind of like dead technology, like VHS tapes. And it's like you can't hardly find a player, but you spend so much money on those tapes. So anyway, I don't think I've ever actually listened to an 8-track. I listen to records. I have a record player downstairs. I listen to records almost as much as I listen to anything. I listen to like just the radio the most, or I'll ask Google to play music or something. Free cookbook fundraising plan that's guaranteed to work. Custom cookbooks. We have all seen and heard of these cookbooks. I think everybody has some. Almost everybody has been involved in making some. So, Mr. and Mrs. Mouse. Oh, those guys are cute. Those are cute. An interesting thing is how the face is made. When you get into these stuffies and plushies and amigurumis, that's when you really see how techniques have changed over time. And just seeing how this is made in the round from the nose, you know, that's not a technique you see often in older magazines, but that is cute. Those are super cute. You can't buy this special Love Swept romance in bookstores, but you can get it free. Oh, everybody remembers these, where you get the magazines, not the magazines, the books like sent to your house. Yeah, well, you know, you examine them, you send them back or you keep them, and they're always like somewhat wildly expensive. This one is $12.50 for 6 books for the price of 5, plus postage and handling. And postage and handling was usually how they get you. But I volunteer at a book sale, and that type of book where it was like the subscription, we get a lot of those. We don't always sell romance books, just FYI, because it's linked to a church. But goal fundraisers, here's another one for cookbooks. These are all like the pages I've just been quickly flipping through are just the instructions for the mouse that we already saw. Oh, spool weave. Okay, so this is kind of interesting. When it said spool weaving, I thought it was going to be making like the little knitting where you stick pins into like a spool or nails into a spool. But it looks like it is actually spools, where they decoratively glue like ropes and things around physical spools. I wasn't really expecting that. I was picturing something drastically different than what I got. So that's kind of neat. They do the tops with colored postage paper. You know, this would be especially neat. I mean, it would work with plastic spools and stuff like you get now. But this would be especially neat with some of the old wooden spools if you have to happen to have a lot, because they would make a really nice trivet with being wood and being so thick and just far up off your table. Why are we giving away fashion earrings for 10 cents each? Those being fashion earrings helps you date that magazine if it wasn't already clear. Unconditional lifetime guarantee. Not sold in jewelry stores. You get a set of 100 earrings. Check for $10 plus $2 shipping and handling. That's a lot of earrings for 12 bucks. Here's how they continued the spool weaving. Oh, that's neat. So what they did was they actually left an open hole for the casserole dish. It doesn't just... It's like a ring. Now, I mean, personally, if I did it, I'd probably leave it, but it is kind of neat the way it goes with an open hole. If you have dishes you know you use a lot. I use a ton of different sizes and shapes of dishes, so that open hole would like never work for me. Turn the ordinary into special. Needle punch a personal touch. And it talks about how to punch directly under the garment, how to applique a piece. It's got this picture of a cute fluffy sheep. Knit a vacation time, anytime shell. It's a nice basic sleeveless top, just a little lace motif in it. Great crochet patterns, $2 each. Oh, those are actually really cute. I like this Joyous Angel's little face. She just got like a cute chubby little face. They're all pretty cute actually. They all have kind of a similar face from what you can see. There is the punch needle chart for the shape and continued instructions. Electric mobility, introducing the all-new 1987 Rascal. And this is the making sense. They've had this for ages, and it's always things that you can make for craft shows and bazaars, things that don't necessarily require a pattern, and they usually tell you how much they sold it for, which is always really fun to see, because when you get into the really old issues, they'd be like, I sold these for 50 cents. You know, I sell these for $1. So this one, they do the Pinecone fire starters. Pretty much, most of you probably know how to do those. They sell several in a basket for $5. Plastic canvas bookmark, sell for 75 cents to $1. A fashion doll skirt, and it's got a quick little crochet pattern. Baby blankets from Soft Corduroy, sells for $5 to $10. Fridge frogs that will really stick to the job and can be made from a scrap of green felt. Soft drink bottle cap, magnet and movable eyes. You cut a shape from felt, paint the bottle cap white and red, and bend it in half and glue it to the felt. Glue eyes above the mouth and magnet to the back. Sell for 75 cents. I think I've actually seen some of those made somewhere. Clothespin doll sells for $1.75 to $2. Here's an easy peasant blouse to crochet. It's got a stitch pattern in like the sleeves and all, so it's not just like single crochet or double crochet. It's actually pretty cute. I don't know if it barely shows in the picture, so I'm not sure if it shows on camera, but this sleeve and down here you can tell it has kind of a, it looks almost like a shell stitch or maybe like a V stitch. Easy way to save with low vitamin prices. 100 cod liver oil caps for 88 cents. Bone meal tablets for 49 cents. Alfalfa tablets, 38 cents. Choose your favorite color combinations. Cotton makes this colorfully striped lacy cardigan cool, comfortable, and casual. It's pretty cute, actually. One thing that's very interesting about the Workbasket versus other vintage craft magazines, the Workbasket tends to have far more timeless crafts. So like a lot of the more trendy craft magazines from 1987 would have had very, very 1987 type of stuff. But the Workbasket always tends to, not always, but it tends to have a more timeless approach. And so most of the issues, you could pick up an issue from pretty much any year and find something that you're very much still like, yeah, I'd still wear that today. Like that's a very timeless classic piece. And this cardigan is a good example of that. And so is the one that's on the front. Sometimes the colors might get a little wonky, but the general styling tends to be very timeless in the Workbasket. Here's one about the Salvation Army with instructions on how to make a wheel. Quilt kits, Bluebirds. It's really, okay, so it's utterly ridiculous. I've always wanted one of these stupid little Bluebirds. They're just a glass bird that is blue. But I've always wanted one. And with things like that, I don't want to look like on eBay. Like I'm sure if I go on eBay, I can find one. I can order it, no problem. I can get a glass Bluebird. But I want one like in the wild, as the thrift store people say. Like I just want to randomly find one day at a thrift store and get a little Bluebird. And this one you get a full family of Bluebirds. And the interesting thing is, this one's from 1987, and you can get a whole family, all 5 birds for $21. You can get 2 adults for $10, or a set of babies, the bottom 3 for $11.50. And it goes way back of like buying a glass Bluebird, and you can almost see the prices go up, or you can see it go from buying one to buying a set. And that's the interesting thing I love about these magazines. Craft projector enlarges and make ribbon roses. Huh. I think I might actually have one of these, but like wasn't sure what it was. I buy a lot of random crafty lots, and sometimes I find stuff that I'm like, I don't know what it is. Sewing and craft sewing patterns. Crochet a collar, becoming to any age. Suddenly stir fry, pasta and rice. Oh, those actually look like really good. I don't know why there's a giant chunk of cheese as a side dish. I mean, I'd go for it. Anybody who knows me knows I'd go for it. But it's about power foods. Suddenly pasta and rice are called power foods, full of fiber and complex carbohydrates. But pasta and rice were good before they became chic. And it has recipes. And these are compliments of the Hershey's Food Corporation. Tandy leather cuts high fashion costs. Rhinestones, faux jewels, garment leather, beads, conchos, leather lace, design ideas, flashy studs. Yeah, that's a pretty 1980s ad right there. Here's another one for fundraising cookbooks. More rice and pasta recipes. I might have to circle back to this issue because like some of these sound really good, and the pictures actually look pretty good. You're never too old to hear better. Dressmaking. I don't even see. Oh, okay. So, like, there's a cream cheese citrus salad. And I was like, did I miss a page? Because it doesn't have to do with rice and pasta, but it has macaroni in it. Plus oranges, apples, pecans, maraschino cherries, cream cheese, sugar, grated orange rind, salt, orange juice, and heavy whipping cream. Huh. I have very mixed feelings confused about that. Like, everything about it sounds good, and then you throw in macaroni. And I don't know. But then, like, macaroni really has a fairly mild taste, so it's kind of like, why not, you know? I don't know. Maybe I need to do that one. Maybe I need to do that one. Here's a thing for invisible mending to make big money. Learn seat weaving for fun or profit, and another pattern enlarger. Oh, interesting. Okay, so Reader's Favorite Recipes starts with mop sauce, which I'm not going to lie, I misread as mop water until I went to read it out loud to you. And mop sauce does not necessarily sound more appealing than mop water. I guess it makes a slight difference, but I don't know about. Yeah, I don't know. Okay. The ingredients don't necessarily sound bad. I'm not sure how much you can read on the screen from here, but it has beef consomme, water, cider vinegar, vegetable oil, added monosodium glutamate, garlic powder, hot pepper sauce, Worcestershire sauce, dry mustard, chili powder, and paprika. Nothing about the sauce itself sounds bad. And it's just, they call it mop sauce because it's for, like, basting onto barbecued meats. And they say to apply with a small kitchen dish mop or a cloth that has been soaked in sauce. And so that's why it's called. I just can't. I'm not a picky eater. There's only, like, one thing that I will not eat for, like, choice reasons. And that's meat on the bone. I've never in my life liked meat that's on the bone. So, like, I don't eat chicken legs. I don't eat, like, you know, if pork chop's on the bone, I'll cut out the part where, like, it's not in the bone. I can't get over the mop sauce. And especially because I misread it at first as mop water. I can't. I mean, nothing about it sounds bad. It sounds perfectly delicious when you read the ingredients. If it had any other title, I'd be like, hey, I should try that. I can't. It just hit me wrong with the mop sauce. Just hit me wrong. Baked beans, stuffed strip steak. And then it goes into some of these cute edges. A knitted lace edge. A tatted edge with rickrack. That one actually looks like a fairly easy. It's just a combination of different size loops. Tatted edge. And a tatted dress trim in a flower shape. Have fun raising funds with another cookbook fundraising plan. I also collect vintage cookbooks. I'm trying to narrow down my collection because it grows. Vintage magazines and vintage cookbooks are a collection that grows, let me tell you. Don't get into collecting them lightly because they grow. But I'm trying to get rid of a lot of my cookbooks and really narrow it down to ones that I actually actively would use, or ones where the novelty is so absolutely insane I just can't get rid of it. But I know some people specifically collect this type of cookbook where it's like the self-published fundraiser cookbook. Some people specifically collect those. The Workbasket shopper, pretty much nothing but ads. Ride up and down the stairs comfortably. Earn $10 to $20 per hour in your neighborhood by selling Mason's shoes. Money quickly raised selling cards. Hot iron transfer patterns. Tin Can Magic. This one actually sounds really interesting to me, by Jansen & Co. Turn coffee cans, juice, or tuna soup, or pet food cans into beautiful sparkling Christmas candlesticks, Mexican tinware, patio lanterns. Send $2. I actually remember juice coming in a can. I mentioned that recently, actually. It's like, you remember juice coming in a can? Those were handy cans. Like, I have a whole thing about how our society is too reliant on plastics, but also it's this magazine and Vintage Pack of Fun magazines, things used to almost be made with the intention that you knew you'd do more with them. And now it's so much farther than that. Everything just goes in the recycling. And reduce and reuse are like not even part of the triangle to most people anymore. It's just like, oh, recycle it. But things like juice cans, I've seen some really neat projects like ottomans and things like that with juice cans that were really easy to make, that you could be keeping these things out of landfills. And so it's kind of this like slippery slope of, you know, things were made more convenient, but then you couldn't reuse them, and just it's a whole thing. I won't go into a lot of it, but 32 color photo specials for $2.45. Here's the bosom bloody breast form if you've had a mastectomy. Yeah, mastectomy. I feel like I said that wrong the first time. If I did, I apologize. Your group can raise $240 per day or $1,200 per week selling holiday tradition pecans. And here's another little Scout mini scooter for mobility issues. I feel like I remember a lot of Rascal and Scooter commercials and things in the 80s too. Here's an ad for shoes, lyric choir gowns, magnifying reading glasses. You can be sure it's the best. Buy the brands you saw advertised in Workbasket. That's a bit, I mean, I'm sure they didn't vet their ads. Personalized quality labels. I actually have a weird collection of these where I've bought them with random names from thrift stores. Lone Star, Broken Star quilt kits, quilt pieces and old patchwork patterns, and Old Pueblo Traders, the catalog for all your fashion needs. That's actually the same catalog that advertised these shoes on this page. So that's kind of smart because it's like they sell shoes that might catch your eye. They sell a dress that might catch your eye. And you can send for that catalog. Then we get into the flower and garden section, which actually is fairly small in this issue. In some of the older issues, the flower and garden makes up about half of the magazine. So this was people sending in various questions about, issues their plants are having. The leaves of my rubber plant turn brown and fall off. How might I prevent this? I water it at least once a week. And they mentioned that overwatering is likely the issue. Here's another book service. This one you just order the ones you want. Different ones. I actually think I have this Pineapple Crochet Designs. Tilt that up a bit here for you. So you can just send away. They've done the book service and Bookbasket for a long time. And it was like books that you could order from them. Hollyhocks. Old Fashioned Enchantment. And it's just a specific... They did this a lot too, where it was a specific plant that they did, and then this little corner is instructions. Classified advertising. Let's see if we get anything interesting. Every once in a while you find some really weird, like there was a series where for several years there was literally a category for earthworms or worms. These seem fairly... Here's a new book reveals jackpot winning secrets guaranteed for bingo. Success through dreams in the books category. Yeah, so these all seem pretty basic. Nothing insanely, hilariously interesting in the classified advertising. The Singer Sewing Company is doing a consumer knitting machine seminar. Of course, the 80s and like early 90s were a big time for knitting machines. But yeah, these are honestly kind of boring to me. Usually when you get to the classified ads, there's at least one category where it's so mind-blowing. Like earthworms in previous issues, it wouldn't even just have one ad. It would have like 4 or 5 ads for earthworms. And it's like, how do they get an entire section of earthworms? That's crazy. But nothing like that in this issue. Classic collars, 2 crocheted collars. So I've got a whole thing about like, okay, crocheted collars. I can't necessarily picture people today wearing crocheted collars, but I feel like we as a society have stepped away from things like collars or dickies or vests that kind of like helped make one outfit look like more outfits. Maybe that's, I'm not necessarily saying it's something we should get back to, although I do want to bring back the 90s vest, I'm not going to lie. But like we did kind of step away from that, and like collars are not necessarily one I could picture us going back to, but famous nationally advertised Happy Feet massage slippers for only $5. Special soft nodules stimulate your foot's pressure points to energize your entire body. I think it's interesting. It says how they're special nodules, but most of it seems, I'm having issues on camera, they're really not that like different. I mean, there's like one big one here, but they don't seem as varied as you might think for how they're advertising it. So that is that issue. Nothing particularly like mind-blowing, exciting, or interesting, but it was fun to flip through. I'd love to hear your chat about it in the comments. Seriously, anything at all that jumps out at you from this issue or from anything that I've said, or any memories you have in random of August 1987 or 1987, or, I mean, just seriously, anything at all that you want to say to me, within reason, We don't do like naughtiness and cruelty here. But anything you want to say to chat with me in the comments, chat with me in the comments. Let's chat about this issue or just about anything in general. I'd love to hear your comments. Yeah, this is like a fun time for you to chat with me. So chat with me in the comments. I thank you for watching. I hope you have a great day. I hope you enjoyed this Friday flip. It is surprisingly long for one that didn't have a whole lot going on, but I guess it's always a bit chatty. Like I said, the idea of the Friday flip is that if you were sitting here next to me and we're drinking coffee and like sipping and snacking and showing each other goofy things we saw in magazines, that's what the Friday flip is to me. So it's kind of just a super chatty time with a craft magazine or a vintage magazine as the focus of what I'm chatting about. But I thank you for watching. Next week, there will, of course, be another Friday flip. There will be more vlogs coming up. I spent a lot of time this week working on my website, and I didn't have very many actual projects that I worked on. But there will be vlogs coming up. If you like what I talk about, you can always subscribe. I'm not going to be one to constantly ask you to subscribe. It's just not my thing. But yeah, so anyway, I hope you enjoyed this Friday flip. I hope I see you next week for the Friday flip. Chat with me in the comments, and I hope you have a great day. Thanks for watching.